All right, hi guys. Welcome, Jen Terrio from Warrior Rewild, and we're going to talk about digestion, just the basics of digestion and how to improve them. Just a few little habits and tips and tricks to improve your digestion. And why would we want to do that? Well, as you guys know, all of our biochemistry, our hormonal cascades, our metabolism, everything is driven by the cofactors that we derive from our food. You know, everybody talks about macros and macros all the time, right? Like, oh, what are your macro splits, right? And they're all worried about whether or not they should have more carbs, or if they should have more fat, or if they should have more protein. But ultimately, really, what we need is the micros, right? The little tiny basics that are in our food, that are our minerals and our vitamins and our enzymes and all these beautiful micronutrients that we get from our food. And a lot of us are spending, especially now, we're spending a lot of money on food, right? Groceries are more than they've ever been. And I always encourage people, let's start the food from the beginning. So we've lost connection from our food sources. So really learning and sourcing your food from the highest quality places. So building relationships with local farmers, researching and finding out what their farming practices are. Big fan of regenerative farming, of organic farming, small family farming, kind of going back in that generation. So not supporting the huge factory farms or the food industry or big box stores, trying to really get down in local and whole, real, well-produced food. Once you do that, so once you source that and you spend that money and you spend that time and you build those relationships, you don't want that food to go to waste. So then you spend that time creating, cooking, planning, fighting with your children to get them to the table so you can eat together. And I know that doesn't always happen in today's hurried, bustling life. But when we eat, we've put all that effort, we've spent that time, we've spent that money. And if we just woof down our food, we're not going to get the most bang for our buck, right? You want to be able to get those micronutrients. You want to extract them out of the food. And in order to extract them out of the food, we extract it through the mechanism of our body, through the mechanism of our digestive system. So, but unfortunately, so many people have a disruption in their digestive system. It can happen for a variety of different reasons. Some of it is biochemical, some of it's mechanical, some of it's emotional. You know, with medications can disrupt it, diseases can disrupt it, stress can disrupt it, toxins can disrupt it. There's so many different reasons. But there's some real basic habits that I bet you don't do all of them, and they're super basic and you know you should be doing them, but I'm going to remind you right from the beginning. So first, kind of the preparatory phase. You know, back before we were living as modern humans, there was like the hunt, the carry, the cleaning, the fire starting, the gathering, the washing. This is a whole preparatory phase in order to even get to the point where you could eat the food. So still there's some level of that. You still have to, you're not like running through the woods and then carrying the animal on your back and then cutting it and cleaning it and cooking it in front of the fire, but understanding where your food's coming from, but then also in the moments leading up, whether you're the preparer or someone's preparing for you, start to think about and get excited about the food. Right now, do a little experiment. Think about a lemon. People always use this as the example, but it's because it works. So think about, I had a lemon, I'm slicing the lemon, you're trying that lemon, right? What's happening? You're starting to secrete some saliva. You realize maybe your belly starts to grumble a little bit. You're waking up the body from its slumber, and you're getting the digestive juices flowing, literally getting the digestive juices flowing. So do that. Start to really spend just a little bit of time to kind of create that. So don't just be like, all right, stop what you're doing, in a rush, sit down, woof the food and go back to what you're doing. So be like, eat big juicy burger and blah, 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 blah. Get excited about it. Feel grateful for the food that you're nourishing your body with. If you're creating it, you're cooking it, you're the preparer, build some gratitude for both yourself and that you get to feed your family. And if somebody's cooking for you, be grateful that they're spending their time and effort and love to create you something nourish you. Then we want to talk about, again, the nervous system. We always go back to the nervous system, but when we are in a sympathetic drive and sympathetic dominance, we are in fight or flight, right? And if we were in true fight or flight, we are shutting our digestion off. We're shunting the blood away from our digestive organs, and we are not going to eat because we are running from the tiger, right? But we don't want to be doing that when we're eating. So we want to take a breath. We want to and there's going to be a video about tools to shift that nervous system, because we're going to talk about the nervous system a little bit more in detail in the next video, actually. But if you think about, you can divide the nervous system up a couple different ways. But in the autonomic nervous system, there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight or freeze, well, fight or flight at least, mechanism. And then parasympathetic is rest and digest. Okay, so if you're sitting down to eat, where do you want to be in that? Now, it's not black and white like some people think, or it's like, okay, now I'm in sympathetic mode and now I'm in parasympathetic mode. It's not like that. It's kind of like, just like when you're kind of sometimes, like, it's like sometimes you got tapping on the brake a little bit, sometimes you're tapping on the gas a little bit, but health would be to flexibly be able to go back and forth between those two, and to be able to be dynamic between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And as you sit down to eat, you want to be able to try to cultivate a place of rest and digest, right? This is like back in the day, we've hunted, we've gathered, we've lit our fire, we've cooked our food, and we are sitting by the fire. We are nice and safe. No, there's no tiger out there, no other warring tribes. We're sitting, getting ready to sit around the fire with our loved ones and eat our meal. We don't tend to do that anymore, do we? So we sit, we relax, we breathe. One of the tools, like just a little tool, is one of my other side companies, Barefoot Herbals, has a oil that's a parasympathetic oil. So it's clove and lime essential oil, and it's mixed in jojoba, and it's done as pulse points. So you can put it in your pulse points. You can put it, so you can actually absorb it into your skin. You can put it in your pulse points. You put it under your nose and breathe in the essential oils, and those oils actually help you to kind of cultivate that parasympathetic response. There's lots of other ways to do it as well. Deep breath, taking a nice slow breath with a exhalation that's longer than the inhalation is another way to kind of stimulate that parasympathetic response. The other one is sitting. Far too often, everybody, but in particular, just because I am a mother and I am a nurse, I do notice throughout my life that we have a tendencies to stand and eat, taking care of everybody else around us. So this applies to anyone. My kids are standing and eating in the kitchen all the time. Sit down, take a breath. Your body, by sitting, just stimulates this parasympathetic. Just sitting. Probably you are always hearing me say you shouldn't sit. You got to get up. You got to move. Sitting is the new cancer or new smoking. And sitting the rest of your day is not fantastic. Sitting when you're eating or squatting when you're eating, phenomenal. You want to sit and eat. So slow down, be grateful, let the juices start to flow, sit, start to relax, then chew the crap out of your food. Chew. It's like a full, soft mush. Then you can swallow. You really want to start the mechanical process and the enzymatic chemical process. All of that digestion is happening first in your mouth. And all it isn't it's not just to make it fit in the esophagus, right? It's meant to start the process. And then the body will do the rest of the magic for you. But just think of all the money you're going to waste if you're just woofing down that food. Get all your money. Get all your micronutrients from that food. Chew, relax. One last thing is don't overhydrate Hydration is so key, but you don't want to overhydrate when you're actually eating, because it does decrease or increase the gastric, you can dilute the gastric juices, increasing the pH. You really want a nice low pH. Couple of things that you can do if you're having some digestive issues is you can do some like lemon and ACV before you start to, like do a little bit before you, 10-15 minutes before you eat. That can help to start to stimulate your gastric juices. If you are having any sort of digestive problems, there's lots of different techniques and tips that we use to heal digestive systems. One, we take intake from you, we do a functional exam on you, and then sometimes we do ACV, sometimes we do bitters, and sometimes we'll even use hydrochloric acid, depending. It depends on what medications you are. A lot of medications will knock this out, and it's a dirty little cycle. Once you don't digest well, you don't create cofactors, and once you don't have cofactors that you need to create the digestive to create the appropriate digestive milieu, then you stop digesting appropriately. So it's like this dirty little circle, and then once you're not digesting and getting the cofactors, there's all sorts of derangements that can happen throughout your body and all your different processes. So digestion is key, guys. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want to work with me to improve your digestion, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Sit down and chew your food.